Oh, now I'm finding I have a new obsession. The Dai family Xingyi. So it's now that I don't know if I posted, there was something I made about this before. So I've been watching this channel called Monkey Steals Peach. And this channel goes over Chinese martial arts. He was running around China with Jesse Enkamp when Jesse found actually the incense store kung fu or incense store fist. And so it's at an incense store, and this dude does a form that we call, not Kin-Can. In Okinawan, in Ryukyu Kempo, it's, it'll hit me. It's one of this rather kind of very fundamental, not Batsai, not Seisan. That's what it was. It was Seisan, and so this has been a big thing with Ryukyu Kempo. Always wants to find the Chinese roots. So everybody, all my teachers' friends, they all went to China to try to find where did Kempo come from. So it was Jesse Enkamp finding a direct form where he's like, this is Seisan. And when you look at it, you're like, yeah. And like all versions that have popped up of various styles, such as YC Wong once performing Siuchin. Sanchin. It was Sanchin he performed. Siuchin's a really weird one. If you were to ever see it, you'd be like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, and it's getting out of grapples, getting out of varieties of locks around the body, and that's what Siuchin is. But without somebody explaining that, the form looks totally ridiculous, and you wouldn't even know what to do with it without having some idea that it was to get you accustomed to getting out of grabs at like typically 90 degrees. Because if they get to the 45 degrees, they're going to start breaking your line. So it's that you're trying to twist out of 90-degree twists or 90-degree pulls and grabs and grapples and things like that. But Seisan is much more of a very close. You're at the shoulder touching and elbow touching distance, and but yeah. So you also see a lot of what becomes Okinawan Kempo. You see sort of an early form of it in something called Wuzu Chuan and Five Ancestors Fist. And so there was even a book that came out in like the earliest 90s about Wuzu Chuan, and all the Okinawan Kempo community was like just exploding in the United States about it because it was just so fascinating. Because this guy was like, this is definitely like this form that I'm doing right here. This is da-da-da form in Ryukyu Kempo. So, and then by the early 2000s, the nation or the Okinawan prefecture had done this great bit of work on documenting as much of the history of Kempo as they could, and which of course is so very Okinawan and Japanese in nature, and they had lots of records. Okinawans took it very seriously that they were once, quote unquote, a Chinese nation in a way. They were a part of the Chinese colonial diaspora, as they saw it and a close cousin to Korea, which that apparently is still engraved in stone in Okinawa, as they're documenting their relationship with Korea. That would have been prior to the 1600s on our calendar. So I've been getting into the Dai family because I learned a bit about it, and it was one of these things where I'm like, that I'm at the stage now that it's like, well, no, you've learned so much Xing Chuan. You should look at the various varieties, and and so so it was just really cool. It's a very, very interesting style, and there's a lot more about it than I was expecting here. And I'm reading a direct lineage practitioner's books on it, and so it's one of those things when you're an old guy, there's something that you look up and you're like, I've got to know everything about this now, and so that's where I've just like how, for so many years I got so fascinated with like the history of Ukraine after World War II, or like how I wrote everything down from all of my studies of Taoism and Chinese medicine in my own little book, so I would have it, and all that kind of stuff. But so now it's like, or how I was like crazy about doing kettlebells all the time. So now I just got to kind of get back into that, which is better than worse for me. And also I've got to get my fever up about reading about theology again. And that's one that I wish would stick. That's really, there we go. I wish my craziness for some things, like I wish I was crazy for always wanting to read theology. It is a real desire every day. I'm like, why? And I know there's going to be, because the devil distracts you with things that you like. He works on your passions, distracts you with your delicious coffee and your walk, and the pretty girls who are walking around, that you want to walk around in your nice clothes. Young forever. Still got it. Now, one of the things I particularly liked about the Dai family, one, it was all these really old guys, but I liked how their way of shaping from soft to hard, the way that they caused the body to work a certain way. And then there's also a kind of harmony. That's it. That's one of the things about, there's some martial arts that you see them and it's just that there's just a certain kind of power or technique that you really like, the way that, these people do their, osotogari, or you really love this kind of choke that this or that person does, or like the Korean jiu-jitsu people that do all those really complicated gi throws to choke outs, With a lot of Chinese martial arts, it's as if you're seeing something preserved from some time immemorial, like when humans were more simple, and then when you really have gotten to a point where that you've trained your body to do a lot of things, that you're very familiar with how your body works, that there's a lot about such arts like that you could see, like, no, I see the logic of how they're training, the logic of how they're training, and that you're, and that there's a harmony, a body harmony in the way that the person moves. Like with Bruce Lee, one of the things is that he seemed to come in, lightning from the blue sky, just suddenly he was like, and so people try to imitate that, but that kind of lightning from the blue sky kind of thing, that gets more, that's a young man's thing. Or when you're old, you're really good. They call it cold chi, or cold energy. And what the term comes from is it's that you, from cold, you could go to hot. And so these are the kind of people that out of nowhere, they could just raise their hand and put it and just punch you. And like you just don't even see it. It's just suddenly their hand is just bang, and because there's something so soft and so subtle about how they move, it doesn't alert you in time. That's an interesting thing when you run into that. Especially the big one is you know, people are like, oh, show me your super powerful punch, old kung fu man. That's not how it works. You're touching them. That's what's creepy. Is that you're doing well, you're getting engaged and this and that, and then suddenly bang, and the guy just nails you, and you're like, wow. You're like, I didn't even see his hand, and so I just yeah. So that's what I have some interest in at the moment, and there, yeah, and as everybody knows, my various Orthodox books, and EVE Online. Still love EVE Online. Don't do much with it. It still stays interesting. Like I barely play it to its potential. I have to get a new computer that's a little faster to really do some fun PvP. But, yeah. So, today's the big send-off. Kung Fu teacher is gonna move to the mountains to be grow old as a Taoist and stay away from the big cities where the people are foolish. Their foolish ways of the city. So, yeah, so we're gonna have tea at the old Taoist guy's yurt in town, who always loves having people over for tea, and it'll be good. It'll be good. It's just weird. It's just weird getting old. Sending people off. Yep, we're gonna go and retire. We're retiring. That's great. That's great, though. That's the point. You're like, we're gonna move to another part of the country. And things are a little simpler. Things are getting too crazy out here. Yeah. All right, later.